For Football at 4, it's diving into the Carolina Panthers. And why the Panthers? Well, I want to relate it to last night's Super Bowl and really just the most recent things we've seen when it comes to the Super Bowl. And also ties in perfectly what the Carolina Panthers need. We all know Carolina Panthers sucked on defense this past year. Like, they were terrible. They gave up the most points in a season in NFL history. I understand there's 17 games as opposed to 16 or 14, whatever it was in the past. Points per game, still one of the 5th or 6th worst all time. They pick 8th. They have 9 picks this draft. Look what the Philadelphia Eagles have done over the last 4 years when it comes to drafting players. Where's the emphasis been? Last 4 drafts. Go back to 2021. Actually, I take that back. Let's work in reverse order. Let's go back 2024. We'll go back down to 2021. 2024, first round. I'm just going to go day 1, day 2. So picks rounds 1, 2, and 3 of the draft. Day 1 and day 2 of the draft. First round, Quinyon Mitchell, defensive back, had 2 interceptions in the postseason. Second round, Cooper DeJean had that pick 6 for a touchdown. That really was the play of the game for me in the Super Bowl last night. Oh, Jalix Hunt, third round, defensive end, had a half a sack in the Super Bowl. Also had the second highest pass rush win rate of any Philadelphia Eagle yesterday. Defensive end. Go back to 2023. First round, Jalen Carter. 2 QB hits yesterday. Drew a bunch of double teams. Also in their playoff game against the Rams, pair of sacks. Nolan Smith, also a first-round pick last year. 4 sacks this postseason, had a couple QB hits yesterday. Third round, offensive line, Tyler Steen. Started a couple games this season, played in all 17, offensive line depth. Go back to 2022. First-round pick, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle, had a sack in the Super Bowl and had one in the NFC title game. Second round in 2022. Offensive lineman, Cam Jurgens, starting offensive lineman, including moving over to be the starting center after Jason Kelce retired last offseason, made a Pro Bowl this year. Third round pick, linebacker Nakobe Dean, was their starting middle linebacker, got hurt after in the 15th game of the season. Unfortunately for him, missed a chunk of time, obviously in the postseason as well. But was one of their starters on defense this year. Go back to 2021. First round pick, wide receiver Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner, picked him 10th overall. He's good. Had a 46-yard touchdown reception yesterday. Their second-round pick, offensive line, Landon Dickerson, who's one of their starting interior offensive linemen, already has made a Pro Bowl. Third-round pick, defensive tackle, Milton Williams. 2 sacks yesterday as well as a fumble recovery in the Super Bowl. Also had a sack in the NFC title game. 12 players picked in the first 3 rounds of the last 4 drafts. 3 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, 3 offensive linemen, a linebacker, so 9 players that are around the football when the ball is snapped, as well as 2 defensive backs, 1 wide receiver. 8 defensive players, 4 offensive. 3 of those offensive players, linemen. You see the point here? 8 of the guys that I mentioned just now, hand in the dirt players. Hand in the dirt players are linemen, offensive, defensive linemen, edge rushers. Why do you think a young man, Edward from Wendell, was calling out the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday on our Monday sound-off, literally just 30 minutes ago, talking about, hey, Joe Thuney, who's been part of 4 Super Bowl championship teams, was playing at left tackle. Former NC State guy, looked like he was playing for NC State this year. Edwards' words, not mine. Hand in the dirt, guys. So, Panthers, when you pick at 8, you have all these needs on defense. And a draft from, by all accounts, is loaded with both interior defensive linemen as well as edge rushers. And even a couple decent linebackers that you can play off the ball as well. Where do you think you should invest your time and your assets? Right there. Hand in the dirt, guys. That's where it's all built. It's where it's all built. Even with this era of passing all over the place and all these crazy fantasy stats and numbers and all that blah, 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 still comes down to, can the guys with their hands in the dirt, the linemen, the people that block or brush the passer, those interior guys, how good are you there? How good are you there? If you're great in those spots, generally you're a pretty good football team. We've heard Dan Morgan, we've heard Dave Canales talk about it starts with the ball, building the team from the inside out. This defense for Carolina, this team really, but this defense especially has so many holes. So many. Yeah, you're getting Derrick Brown back, but you still need at least another starter to go on that defensive line, along with Derrick Brown and A'Shawn Robinson, at least one. Edge rusher, yeah, DJ Wannell came on strong last year after he came back from his quad injury as well as a blood clotting issue. You still need someone opposite of him at minimum. It's not Jadeveon Clowney. It's not. Can't run that back. So there's two guys right there. Yeah, Trevin Wallace had a pretty decent rookie year. 3rd round pick coming in for Shaq Thompson, who got hurt. And there's still Josie Jewell there, but you still need more there. Like, you have to build through that. Panthers still need a starting center. Is there someone that you can develop behind Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis that eventually, if one of those guys gets hurt, can step in? Or if Taylor Moton goes down, can you find that offensive tackle of the future on your right side? Taylor Moton ain't going to play forever. He's about to turn 30, 31 years old. You still don't know what you're going to do with the future of Vicky Ekwonu. Look at the team that just won the Super Bowl. They've drafted in the first 3 rounds over the last 4 years, they've drafted one skill guy. One. In the first 3 rounds. Now, I understand they traded for Jahan Dotson from the Washington Commanders. I think they traded a 3rd round pick. I know he's a former first, but they didn't draft him. You went outside and got him. A.J. Brown wasn't a 1st round pick. I know you traded a 1st round pick for him, but you had that opportunity to do it. But you still invested in the draft on those positions, that part of the field. That's what matters. That is why this defense for the Eagles was so damn good yesterday. They were drafting some of these defensive tackles when they still had guys like Fletcher Cox, no relation. They had a great defense. They had a great defensive line. They said, yep, we're still going to put resources into it. So Dan Morgan, you have 9 picks this year. And a class, again, reportedly, by all accounts, loaded with guys that put their hands in the dirt. Focus there, then build out. Let's not spend all the cap money and other assets to go after a T. Higgins. Don't need to draft Teteroa McMillan at 9. I understand Bryce Young needs a number 1. You're not winning games 35-34 because your defense stinks.